Friends, if you've ever been in a situation where you've gone through a rehab program or you've been injured and you found yourself in a spot where you still have a lot of things to work on, but maybe insurance has run out or maybe you've capped out with where you could get at your current provider, then you need to pay attention to today's episode because we're going to go deep on a new program that we're offering at Head to Toe called Rebuild with Kimo. What's up, friends? Welcome. It's the Movement is Medicine show. I got Dr. Annie and Kimo in the house. Woo! How you guys doing?
Great. How are you?
Whoop. So good. So pumped to talk about our new program.
Yes.
Rebuild with Kimo.
Kimo with a K.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is awesome. So I think this program is really special, really unique, powerful program. And in today's episode, the whole point is to bring it to life for people. What is the program and who is it for and what's it entail and all those kind of juicy details that we can use to educate people if they were thinking, maybe I need that.
Yeah. Kimo and I have worked together since I opened my practice. I would say we've been together sharing patients back and forth for 20 years.
At least, yeah.
And we've always thought, man, we should share the same house
Yes.
and work together because I've trained with Kimo for as long as I can remember. Kimo rebuilt my knee for me, and we've got a lot of history together. And I've always wanted him to be here to help our clients at Head to Toe because there's such a gap. Insurance gives us 6, 10, maybe if we're lucky, 12 treatments, and the team and I are able to get you feeling better for sure. You're going to be out of pain. You're going to be moving better. And you're going to be on the right track. But are you ready? Are you durable? Are you going to last through life at that? And the answer is you need more.
Yeah,
right?
definitely. What did you say? People are usually let go at about 60% of full recovery.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more work to do. And most people you're coming in for the one main big thing. But so that really what's going on here is the big thing is a culmination of a whole bunch of not as big things. The symptom is not the root cause. And so it's really about distilling down and figuring out the root cause and the association and the why did we get to my shoulder being frozen or my hip being super mad or my knee being mad. So the knee being mad is a great one. And then the knee is trapped between the foot and the hip. Most regular PT places you go to, you're in there for the knee and that's all they're touching. But the whole system is synergistic. The whole thing works together. And so one distal part way over here being out of whack is what is actually could be that root cause for that opposing hip giving you pain and hurting and making it so you can't do your jam. And so really we would want to be the next step coming out of a rehab program and to make a person fully functional and have the capacity to keep really moving forward and keep building and building and building.
Yeah. Sustainability, I think, is the word we keep running across and durability too. Whether you're a weekend warrior, whether you're a young athlete, whatever you're doing in your life, you've got to have that ability to function with gravity on you as well. We are working a lot from the ground. We're working on our all fours. We're working on getting your joint by joint motion, restoring your soft tissue function. But then we got to put all the pieces together so you can move in a sustainable way. And that's where I think your work comes into play.
Yeah, durability is a huge key word. Basically, you've got to be able to take those slams. Everybody's going to end up slipping and falling at some point, possibly. And part of the whole thing is looking at balance, looking at proprioception, increasing the body's capacity to process data so that you can know where you are in space, in motion, to be able to know that if you start to slip, let's say it's icy like it was last year with that crazy ice storm, that they're instead of just panicking and just getting fully bodied, that if you can sense where you are mid-slip, that there are corrections that can be made. There's ways to also protect yourself when you go down. Like when something goes bad, it goes bad fast. And so being able to really get an imprint on a bigger scale, that durability component, and just make it so you can just do life better, because life's going to keep beating on you no matter what. So it's just like being a hockey player. Like you got to be able to get bodied and then get back up, keep skating.
Yeah.
You think about it. Through every stage of life and through all your different things that you're involved with as a person, there's really an opportunity to get involved with, say, this rebuild program. So if you were a younger athlete, the rebuild program is perfect for creating that baseline foundational resiliency, durability, self-awareness, empowerment, movement patterning, everything that person's going to need. So as they grow through their high school years and their college years and beyond, they have a really phenomenal base. Also, the person who's in their 20s who's going hard and who maybe didn't have that base, and now they're starting to get into a spot where they may be hitting some reoccurring injuries, or they're getting set up for that big injury or that big blowout. Why not stop that before it ever happens? That's another great spot for the rebuild.
I hear it even talking to like 30-year-olds that I meet at the skate park and stuff, and they're like, yeah, 35 now and starting to feel it. It's, bro, you got so much more to do.
Yeah.
You know, and this program is not only for a person coming out of a regular treatment program. This is like for anybody that wants to improve their fitness with kind of a real specific lens on biomechanics and unraveling movement patterns and teaching them how their body should move, what sort of things to look for, how to notice when something's out of whack a little bit, and then provide a tool set for self-efficacy, for self-care, as well as knowing, okay, so now I know I need to get someone to help me, because the typical style of ignoring it till it goes away, it usually doesn't work.
It's not going to go away. I think also we really need to be aware of people coming out of surgery. Not the people who need the fresh rehab, but if we talk about my own situation with my knee, which you completely helped me rebuild it with my ACL, but I wasn't wired anymore.
Yeah.
So I remember trying to do a Turkish get-up after I was well healed and rehabbed. I could do my one-legged step downs and all the stuff to give me the gold star out of rehab and go back to running. But I didn't have the circuitry to do more complex off leg, off arm type of balance moves. I couldn't do it. My body didn't know how to anymore because I'd had a major intervention. So you've had surgery and you haven't done that programming where you've really challenged all your planes, fascial planes, and your circuitry. You're really also not ready for sport specifically.
Totally get hurt, yeah.
Even say getting back on the slope to ski again, or getting back into jogging or endurance sports, like you're set up to get injured again.
Yeah, if you don't really work on it.
Yeah.
And if you don't really look at all planes of motion, I think that's the key I see you do so well is I think we have such a focus on frontal plane motion. It's so heavy and dominant in training. And we do the typical one-legged balance and stuff like that. But this is looking at all planes of motion, side to side.
Not just front to back.
Because your body needs to be recircuited after surgery.
Yeah. So it's about waking up all that circuitry and putting in a position to foster regrowth of these neural pathways and tissue organization and joint organization within the whole movement pattern. So that's why balance and proprioception is so important for everybody.
Yeah, and speed and deceleration.
Yep.
Like looking at running, looking at skiing. If you're not trained in those movements, you're also going to hurt yourself again.
Yeah, definitely. Deceleration is the biggest thing that I don't think quite gets paid enough attention to. It's always about force production. But it's also really the time that somebody's going to get hurt is when they cannot decelerate. So that would be like non-contact ACL rupture. Guys making a cut, they couldn't decelerate enough. They had ACL deficient knee, hamstrings not working enough. They didn't, and it just couldn't do it. And then bang, it just explodes. So really, it's all about what you can only produce as much force as you can stabilize, but you can only decelerate as much force as you can stabilize. And usually, that's where people are getting hurt. They fall down, they trip, they're going on their lips, they can't slow their upper body down fast enough, so there's the ground will stop them with their face. And so but if I could do like a ballistic push-up negative, I can keep my face from smashing the ground. So it's always about how do I slow it down. Everybody's worried about giving it gas, but it's also the reverse of that. It's really important.
Yeah.
So we got people who are involved in sports at any age. Rebuild program, I would say, would be a huge, perfect fit to continue in your sport. Then we have people who have gone through a surgery or an injury or some type of an intervention, and they're clear and free from their PT or their rehab program or whatever that looks like, but we know that there's some deeper underlying issues, and this is great. And so that was your situation, Andy, where you had an ACL tear and major surgery and all that kind of stuff. I also think about my situation where I tore my pec maybe 2 years ago. And that was also a weird thing. Like, why did my pec tear? Like, it really shouldn't have torn. But that made me think, listening to you go through it, is that there were probably some things I should have been doing along the way. I should have been in the rebuild program before I needed it. Yeah. And I probably could have prevented that injury, because I probably went from a spot where I was used to doing that movement. I was doing a weighted dip, where I was used to doing that all the time, say in a CrossFit scenario. When I reintroduced that movement years later, not being in that same level of conditioning and used to that type of load and extreme ring dip, you're in like an extreme dip position with an additional, I think I had like an additional 65 pounds or something on the weight belt.
Of course you did.
Yeah, of course I did. And then that's where in the tour, last set, last rep. So that's where I think, man, anybody who takes their physicality and their fitness seriously, who's invested in themselves from a fitness and strength and longevity standpoint, and who maybe has had an injury or hasn't had an injury, I would also say the rebuild program would be a program you should be looking at.
The thing is, you don't know what you don't know until someone points it out to you. And that's the whole thing with great coaches and great movement coaches and providers, is that you can't see in yourself what you're missing when you're programming yourself, when you're moving all through the basic patterns that we do with weightlifting and training. You're going to miss it. Someone needs to challenge your movement variability to really see where your shortfalls are, where you're not hitting it. That's what's going to prevent the injury in whether you're walking your dog, picking up your kids, going for a run, skiing, whatever. If you're hardcore, it doesn't matter. If you don't have those planes of motion and that ability to be variable through your movement patterns, that's where you're going to get caught. And that's what this program is really for. It's like that finishing. It's like the icing on the cake. Mm-hmm. It's like we can build them up to so much and so far here with my great treatment team using the insurance model. But then there's that time we got to push out of it to really, really get you to where you need to be.
Yeah. And truly, a lot of people are like, if insurance doesn't cover it, I don't want to do it. But maybe change the lens of looking at investing in yourself for longevity is really probably the best dollars you're ever going to spend. Like, sure, you could have a super fresh Porsche, but if you can't get out of it, you're not going to get very far.
I almost think of it as like a certification program in your own self. And like, it's just like it's like if you go to a movement specialist and you're getting that one-on-one coaching, it's so rare to get that. There's basically nowhere you're going to get one-on-one movement coaching in a gym setting. Right. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, especially with how much group fitness is awesome and people love it, but there's only so many sets of eyes on a person, and group fitness can lead to or permit a lot of dirty movement. And so the thing here is that and then the structure of the workouts are assuming that the population is completely healthy, and it's just kind of a general overlayment of different movement patterns. But so working here with us, it's going to be, everything is completely unique, completely individualized per appointments, because everybody presents different every time they show up. You get hurt sleeping, you get hurt changing the sheet on the bed, like all kinds of silly stuff like that. But it matters when it's foot on the floor and in your gym, and it needs to be taken account for. And so that's another thing that people get really messed up on, is just like being too stringent on their periodization, or too stringent on this scale of goal acquisition that they're trying to get. The path is windy. It is never straightforward, and it's all about the journey, not the end. And so being able to work with somebody that I can see things as they come up and address that stuff, and it's just going to pull apart more things to look at to make you more rounded. And so you don't create overuse injuries on yourself, and you don't hurt yourself exercising. There's nothing worse than getting hurt trying to get better. Like, I'd rather cartwheel down a set of stairs any day, but getting hurt in the gym is so frustrating.
And we see it all the time. But
Mhm.
people are like, we also want to go back and train like we did in our 20s.
Mhm.
And so we hop right back in and you push yourself and you do what you used to do. And then you're back where you started from again. And it's depressing and it's a cycle and it's mental and it's
Mhm.
okay. You don't have the capacity yet for that.
Mhm.
Your body's changed, it's aged, you've had injuries, all the things. And so I love this program and I think it will benefit so many people. And to your note, health is wealth, right?
Yeah.
What greater wealth is there than being able to be healthy, to move, to live our life to the fullest?
Mhm.
Really.
Yeah, you really need to think about it differently. Like if you have the financial means to pay for a boutique fitness experience like an Industrious or a CrossFit or an Orange Theory or Barry's Boot Camp, you have the financial means to invest in additional movement training for yourself to prevent injury. And in fact, you should. Like if you're involved in any kind of functional fitness type group fitness class, and I've been to all of them, so I can speak from experience. Every single person I know who's in their like 30s, 40s, and 50s who's in that environment has some pre-existing issues or some ongoing reoccurring issues and movements they don't want to do because they're afraid to do them because they're afraid they're gonna get hurt again, and they're afraid they're gonna get literally every single person I know. So if that's you, if you're listening to this right now, immediately book yourself a session in a series of sessions with Kimo and get into the Rebuild program because you'll benefit from it so much.
Yeah, and it's easy to access. There's often a free 30-minute consult where I'm going to provide a movement screen, talk about the findings, and send you on your way with some tools that you can actually take with you and use. Decide that you want to work together. That's awesome. Decide that it's not the right time for you. That's awesome too. But at least I was able to give you some knowledge and some tools that you could take on your journey to move forward to end up wherever you're going.
So if somebody is interested in this, they want to take you up on that offer, they want to explore a little bit more, we will have full, depending on when you're listening to this, it's either will be completed or soon to be completed, but great splash page website type thing built with Kimo that you can take a look at. And you can book through our online portal. You'll be able to book basically a consult, just like you would book any type of appointment here at Head to Toe. And you would come in, meet with Kimo, do your movement assessment, go through what your conditions are or whatever, and then get a series of things that Kimo, depending on you, right? You're saying you can provide some tools, some assessments, some techniques that you can use on your own. But then if you want to go deeper and get into the actual Rebuild program, you can explore that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
Remember, everybody, that pain's the last signal your body's going to give you. So if you're feeling pain, things are way offline already. Hit the consult with Kimo and get in and get it figured out.
Like that whole dehydration thing. If you feel like, oh man, I'm parched, it's like they're like, you're dehydrated. You're not just thirsty.
Exactly.
You don't realize it until it's already smacking you in
If
the
it's
face.
screaming at you, if something's hurting or you're avoiding something because your heel always hurts or your elbow or whatever,
Yeah.
it's happening already.
Learning about yourself and learning how to listen to your body when it whispers instead of waiting till it's screaming and you're just benched.
Benching.
That's always a bummer.
The movement month speaks.
Love
again.
it.
I love it too. Thank you guys for being here. Tons more information coming out on this. Really, really excited for the Rebuild with Kimo program. And yeah, if you have any of those spots, you're currently active and you have any of those things that you're worried about, that's it, your elbow, your neck, your shoulder, your back, your knee, whatever that thing is, the Rebuild program is the program and one of the only places on planet Earth that you can get that specialized training that you need to keep doing the things that you love and leading the life that you want to lead. Friends, remember, movement is the best medicine, and Rebuild with Kimo is the smartest thing you can do for yourself. We'll catch you in the next episode.